It's the Powerhouse Woman Show. You're a powerhouse woman, successful, accomplished, but you know the time has come for something else. To pivot, make a shift, or do what you've been putting off for a long time. I'm Monica Pierre, a media entrepreneur, Emmy Award-winning journalist and coach, and I'm on a mission to help you figure out your path forward and create powerful new stories about your life and legacy. There's more ahead. Time to do the greatest work of your life. Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to the Powerhouse Woman Show. I'm your host, Monica Pierce. So delighted you are joining us live or later on. We do appreciate it. And I've been having so many powerhouse conversations with women in particular, not exclusively, who have these huge dreams and goals. And what they're finding is that it started out here, but now it is growing and getting bigger, and the heartbeat of it is getting stronger and stronger. So, how do we create not only change, but forever change and sustainable transformation? That's a lot. And the person who can definitely talk about that is the one and only Carmen James Randolph. Carmen is founding president and CEO of the Women's Foundation of the South. We're going to talk about why this has been a momentous week for her, as she is calling it, and also how did the vision, the passion, the drive come about. First of all, Carmen, welcome to the Powerhouse Woman Show.
Monica, thank you so much for having me this morning. I'm thrilled to be here.
Wonderful. I'll just let the audience know, Angela Young, we're at an event and she goes, "You have to meet this person." So she pulls me and drags me to meet you. And I'm going, she's going to be on my show one day. So voila, here it is. Thank you so much again. And we're going to get into the Women's Foundation of the South. But when it comes to how you saw yourself and the role you saw yourself filling, especially when you were younger, what was that? And when did you realize I'm called for big things?
Well, I have always wanted my life to be of service. And I've lived a life of service and involvement and in community at every stage. In high school, in college, found myself in leadership, and early on started a career in the humanities, which led me to the field of philanthropy. And I worked in community, in public housing communities. And I think in that work, I learned about the multiple injustices that face our community. And I've always wanted to make a bigger impact. Like, okay, it's one thing to impact this child's life or this mother's life. How can we impact this entire community? Then how can we impact the city? And then how can we impact this state and other states? So that desire to make a bigger impact and to create change and to see the world not only as it was, but how it could be, drove me to this field of philanthropy. So I've been in this field of work for the last 25 years, and I've been blessed. This is a very privileged space to be in. Folks will say, Carmen, how much money are you giving away? And be clear, this is not my money. It's never been my money, but I've been in this trusted space to be able to use philanthropic dollars to help change policy, to drive community change, support advocacy, support women and children, and even support communities in hard times after disaster. So I would say that in this space, I have had a constant hunger to be of greater service. And one of the things that I have found working in legacy charities for more than 20 years is that as just as difficult as it is for people of color who are leading community work on the ground to get resources, to get funding to do their work. It is just as difficult for people of color working in legacy charities and other people working in legacy charities to move money to people of color led nonprofits. And
Right.
this was the thing that I sought to change.
Right. So tell us a little bit about why the time came, and I understand you're less than 2 years old, right? If I'm remembering
Mhm.
correctly, to
Yes.
found your organization, this the Women's Foundation of the South. You talk about how you've been in this space for a while, and how I'm struck when you talked about impact, Carmen, how oftentimes we think impact starts really wide first.
Yeah.
But what I heard is that it starts here, and then you expand, and then you expand even more, and then you start thinking about nationally, then you start thinking about globally, then who knows what after that. So how did you decide that the time was right for the Women's Foundation of the South?
Well, first of all, we recognize that more than 50% of Black women in this country live in the South, and the South is growing, the South is changing. There are also more communities of color, more women of color, Latina, Filipino, Vietnamese, Native American women also in the South. And in terms of the a number of philanthropic dollars moving to support women and girls of color in the South, it's the lowest among any group, the absolute lowest. Less than $2.36 per woman and girl is supporting women and girls of color in the South. And when nonprofits are led by Black women, that number is cut in half. And and we're very clear that even though we have such a large presence in the South, we're not doing so well. We're not doing well on health outcomes. We're not doing well in terms of economic security. And we're not doing well in terms of other issues regarding safety, whether it's intimate partner violence or violence against trans women. We're not doing as well as we could be doing. So we asked the question, what would it look like if women and girls of color had the resources they needed to thrive? Not just survive, but
Right.
thrive.
I like
And
what you
that
just
is why
said.
we founded
Yes. That's
WFS.
that's really powerful and amazing because I'm, as a reporter, the five W's and an H. I hear them in my sleep. When you look at this kind of work, particularly when you look at creating forever change or
Mhm.
creating sustainable transformation, in your opinion, does it begin with a powerful question of what would it look like?
I think it does begin with that question. And that question can inform what the vision is, what your vision is. One of my dearest mentors here in Louisiana, um, Lynetta Gilbert, she posed this question once: is your vision big enough? And I think about Ava DuVernay, who said, if your vision is only about you, it's not big enough. So it's about growing that vision and thinking as broad as you can about what kind of impact or what you would like to see change and how the world might look. And you know that African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone, and if you want to go far, go with others. So then it's about, and it's been for at WFS, bringing more women, bringing more sisters like yourself around the table. We call it our kitchen cabinet. We had more than 25 women across the South who were Black, Asian, trans, Muslim, saying, what should this work look like? What should our values be? Our mission be? Um, and really made sure that this work was as wildly inclusive as possible. And I think it's that kind of intentionality. So it's not going alone, it's bringing together, it's sharing your vision, because when you share the vision and other people adopt that vision, it becomes bigger and it's no longer just a solo focus. And then it is being incredibly intentional about how you go about building that vision. Because if you had asked me if I knew how to build a foundation, I would have said, no, I don't. But we have marshaled the tools of philanthropy. And the founders collectively, we have more than 100 years of experience working in this field, from national foundations, regional foundations, community foundations, family foundations. And how can we marshal the tools of philanthropy to build something truly that centers women and girls from the start, that is for us and by us? And that's what we're achieving. That's what we're striving to do.
You mentioned to me before we started that it has been a momentous week for you. Can you share
Yes,
what has happened in terms of numbers and partnership?
sure. Well, two things. One, we set this bold goal of raising, we opened our doors August 2021. So there was a lot of planning that went into play before that moment of opening our doors. And we were able to open our doors with $1.1 million in hand. And I must say that the first $100,000 came from Black women working in philanthropy across the country who were asked to give of their own treasure, which is something that we've never been asked before, but also have your institution match your gift and talk to your allies and your colleagues about donating. So that's how we got our start. And when we announced this vision of raising $100 million and making this a permanent institution, meaning we want to be sure that this is an endowed public foundation, people are like, wow, oh my gosh, that's so big. How are you going to get there? Well, this week, we received notice that we received a $550,000 grant from the Kresge Foundation, which is a 2-year grant. And this is our second year of partnership with Kresge, and this will be until this year and next year. And this grant is awesome. I mean, this was just incredible news. I wrote our program officer and told her I was doing a happy dance. Well, then we did the tally of what we have raised to date. And when we did that, that $550,000 grant pushed us over $5 million. So we are at $5.1 million towards this goal of $100 million in less than 2 years. So I'm just so excited. And the other part that has made this week momentous, and it goes to your question about building for sustainability, we had our second new staff member join the foundation, and our two newest staff members, we now, including myself, have a team of 6, and our two newest staff members are both under 30. They are rock stars, incredible young African American women, and they have brought such new life and energy into the organization. And for me, knowing that we are now creating pathways for young women to come into this field of philanthropy, because these jobs for the most part are pretty hard to come by. These are coveted roles, and it isn't just we're creating pathways into philanthropy, but we are creating pathways into philanthropy and into a healthy space for Black and Brown women to be themselves. And that just feels pretty darn good.
Well, congratulations. I'll join you in a happy dance as well. I think that's great. We're almost out of time, but I would like for you to speak for, a minute, just about a minute about ambition, because whether it's in this legacy space, whether it is your own company, whether it's your thought leadership, whether it's saying, I'm going to leave that, my mom used to call it a good job, and I'm going to start this because this is the vision, the passion, and the purpose that I have. Talk a little bit, just a little bit about ambition, and when the thoughts and the comments come about the size of what you're dreaming and what you're planning to put into the world, how do you handle that?
Well, this for me is the place where ambition meets faith. And I'm a woman of faith. And this is the space. I had a friend once. I have young adult children. I have three young adult children. And she told me that when you become a mom of young adults, you move from being a mom of fear to a mother of faith. And it is this place where you must trust that your steps have been ordered and trust that you've been put in this place and at this moment and at this time, and that there are other people whose future and their dreams might be tied to your vision and your ambition. And that is the place that I come to when I have had moments where, oh gosh, are we going to make it to this month? Are we going to make it to next quarter? How are we going to, if we're hiring more people, can we afford to pay everybody, not just this year, but into next year? I mean, this is bold stuff.
Yes.
And I have to have faith that this work is, I've been blessed with this opportunity to manifest this vision. And what is that? God, will not bring me this far to
Yes.
fail. We have
Yes.
not come this far to fail. There's so much further for us to go. And it's trusting that and operating in that place of intentionality. And I think for us, it's not just about intentionality, but truly it also is understanding that as women, we have collective power that we often don't tap into. And so, where I might need boosting in this place, or where you might need X, together, when we come together, there's darn near nothing that we can't do. So I think it's our collective power and operating from a place of abundance and
Yeah.
knowing that um, there's something for everyone, and building this for everyone helps me get past those moments where this seems a little scary, or oh my gosh, where are we going?
Right. There's other questions that pop up. We are out of time, Carmen. Thank you so much for being with us. How can people do the happy dance with you, follow you, support you? How do they reach out to you?
Well, first, I would encourage you to visit our website at www.womensfoundationsouth.org. Go on our website. You'll see an immediate pop up to sign up for our newsletter. So please sign up for our newsletter. You'll get updates and be in the mix there. And also follow us on social. So we are on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. So I encourage you to follow us, get our newsletter, and join us, because truly, like I said, this foundation, this work isn't for me or for this is for all of us. This
All
is
of it.
for all of
Wow.
us.
Thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for
Oh, for having us. Absolutely. And I want to thank all of you. I know somebody's heard something that is just going to make a big difference as you've come up with ways to create forever change. Thank you for joining us, and we'll talk to you next time on the Powerhouse Woman Show.